Hey guys, this is Camfrey15 and I'm back at it with another video for you guys, and I'm back at it with some more One Piece anime reviews. And today we start off the Oden backstory. Well, half the episode was dedicated to the Oden backstory. As we close up on things in the present for the time being, we're going to get the Oden backstory. And eventually, once the Oden backstory is done, we'll probably find out what happened to our friends or to our crew. So anyways, this is One Piece anime episode 960. Also, can I just say this? The anime has finally got new eye catches. New eye catches. They look pretty cool. Definitely much more different. I was always waiting for them to do new eye catchers, but here you go. Maybe I wonder if these eye catchers are going to be going forward for the Wano arc, or maybe only up to the second one, which showed Gold Roger. Probably maybe up until the Oden backstory's ending, and maybe they'll just do a whole new thing. They also seem like in the first eye catcher, they brought back the original Luffy main base theme. So yeah, that's cool. Anyways, guys, let's get to the episode. So, as we last know, we know that the rebels, for some reason, aren't there at the port, Tokage port, where they were supposed to meet at. And it seems like the 9 scabbards, or the scabbards that are there, are essentially left alone. Now, we cut over, what we see first is we see Orochi. And essentially, what Orochi does is this. He has these spies, thanks to the information from somebody within this alliance gave him, the information about what's going on. He had the spies find the ship where the Sunny was at. So they essentially threw bombs, and it's presumed that the Sunny got blown up. Next, what Orochi did is to make sure that the rebels didn't essentially code to the port. He blew up the bridges connecting to the Kuri and Udon region, the Kibi and Udon region, and the Ringo and Hakamai region. And they show one of the Wano bosses essentially seeing one of the bridges being blown up. So they clearly see that, okay, what the hell is going on and stuff like that. They also do blow up the port with all the reserve ships that they were making to be prepared. So literally, their entire plan has been foiled, because whoever leaked this information to Orochi definitely was accurate in the details on where each of these things were at. So definitely it has to be somebody within this alliance who knows everything. Again, we can't really say Law did it, because one, we don't even know where the hell Law is. We don't know what he did. And two, he doesn't even know the full scope of this whole plan. So yeah, the thing is too, Orochi is like, don't worry, we'll fix it up after this whole issue's over with and stuff like that. And he cackles like the main villain he is. And we cut over back to the scabbards, and essentially, we find out that the scabbards, we already know from last week that regardless, they're going to go, even if it's by themselves. And essentially, the only one against this is Momonosuke. And Momonosuke is like, come on, guys. How about this? We just retreat for now, and we come up with a better plan to attack these guys and regroup, and see if nothing bad's happened to the guys, and actually go back and check to see these guys didn't bail on us or something. But Kinemon's like, listen, if we do that, we would have to wait a whole another year to try this strategy again. And the problem with that strategy is, by that notion, it won't work, because eventually Orochi and Kaido's forces will eventually find us and see the influence we've had in the flower capital, and essentially they would utterly find out that, guess what, we're back, even though technically they both know that they are back and stuff like that. So yeah. And two, Kinemon makes an interesting point, saying apparently what happens with a person, Kinemon also says they can't also steal more food, because now people know who the heck's been stealing the food. And apparently, from what Kinemon says, apparently what happened to the people of Okabor Town, their town got into a battle with those beast pirates, and essentially the beast pirates burned their town down alongside the people with them. And apparently as well, and we all know that Kinemon's wife was a member of Okabor Town. So we don't even know those people are dead, including Kinemon's wife, which, man, if he somehow pulls through this incident, and he finds out he lost his wife because all this, it's, talk about getting successful, saving the day, saving your homeland country and going back to your wife. You might save your homeland country and not, go back to your wife. Again, we don't know what happened to the people of Okabor Town. Hopefully, Suru and the other people of Okabor Town aren't killed. We're just going to find out. That probably won't be revealed till maybe the end of the arc when we get the resolutions and stuff like that. So, yeah. Now, this is when, we cut back in time, and we cut back as long as 41 years ago in the flower capital of Wano. Now, you see Oden, you see Kozuki Oden, he's just walking, minding his business, and you just have people be like, bruh, hide your food, hide your freaking wives and girlfriends. He likes to take all that stuff and things like that. And, Oden just started running, and essentially he goes on to mention that he feels essentially squeezed in, or he eventually feels like he's held captive against his own will, and he wants to go up into the bigger world and see the world other than Wano, because we know Wano is still a closed off country and stuff like that. So yeah, now the one interesting thing, the one thing we see compared to Wano 41 years ago compared to the current day Wano, we see that Wano was much more lively in terms of the vegetation it had. It was much more greener, and it didn't look like a barren wasteland like it does now because of the things Kaido and Orochi have done to the country. So, next thing, they cut over to this mountain pass, and we see a younger Suru, which obviously we know is Kinemon's wife, who, dang, in her younger years, she looked like a snack. Anyways, she was a waitress at this mountain pass tea house, and essentially these guys come up with this boar, and it's like, yeah, we're gonna sell this boar for crazy amounts of money. In the meantime, we see in the background, Kinemon is essentially trying to steal some money from her. She eventually catches on to him, and essentially she's like, give up the money or you're going to be killed, and stuff like that. Eventually she strips him of his clothes, essentially, and it also seems like Kinemon owes her some sort of debt. So I'm guessing we're also going to find out how Kinemon and Suru eventually, I guess you can say, fell in love and eventually got married, because there had to be something, because even Kinemon says in this whole interaction he has with her that they've known each other since they were kids. So they are lovers. They've been lovers for, like, I guess, I wouldn't say like their entire lives, but they're, I guess, childhood lovers. So that's pretty cool to interesting. We also do see that Kinemon used to be a town thief as well. Anyways, it cuts back to Oden. Apparently, there's this family who's essentially, named Katsuo. I think I'm saying that right. Yeah, his family, I'm guessing, is laying his, corpse to rest, and they're cremating his body. They cut over to friggin' Oden, what he's doing. This man is eating Oden on a man's cremation body. And I'm like, what the hell is wrong with this fucking guy? So yeah, that was very interesting. And then it cuts to where the Shogun resides, which, we find out from Kozuki Sukiyaki, who is Oden's father, from, I'm guessing, his assistant. He goes on to mention that Oden has tried to escape Wano at this point in time 38 times. And they're all 38 times he's failed. And essentially this whole scene where his assistant's talking to Sukiyaki, he's essentially running down all the incidents from the lifespan of Oden to where he's currently at in time at the age of 18. And he's saying all sorts of, crimes and acts he's committed over his time. We also see that when he was younger, he had like abnormal freaking strength. And also another thing is Oden's only 18 and he's tall as shit. Listen, I know One Piece has like some very tall ass characters, but my God, Oden is not only buff, but he is tall as shit. And heck, like show him what he looks like at age 15. He looks like honestly a grown man. The one funny thing I found in this whole rundown, he was talking about the whole crimes he committed. When he talked about the fact he brought in these women over to, this house and essentially made his own damn harem, which we later find out that the reason why at the start of the backstory, the men were like, keep your wives away from him, keep your girlfriends away from him, he'll take him. That's why. Because we find out that eventually those women were actually other men's girlfriends and wives. And essentially those men came to raid where he was at, and they called that the Harem War, which I literally freaking died. So this man, Oden, had probably I guess you can say, harem type anime, looks to aspire, have a full-on harem. So, okay, Oden accomplished, something that most harem anime protagonists can't get within the first episode. So, okay, essentially his dad gives a letter of notice saying that he's gonna break relation off of him. And this is the part when obviously he kind of banishes him away. This is the part when we heard earlier a few episodes ago that, his dad banished him so Oden can learn and stuff like that. So yeah. Again, we cut back to what Oden's doing. He knew the guy that died, Katsuo. And as he's leaving, he kind of gives him his way of paying his respects. And the one lady and even the little girl in the scene thought it was pretty cool what he did. So even though he has done some pretty obnoxious things, I guess you can say, at the end of the day, he is what I would say an honorable type of person. So yeah, that is pretty interesting. Now, what happens is Kinemon, he's also going after the boar, so he eventually gets the boar and stuff like that. And we see also it cuts over to Old Man Hiyu, who was in his prime, and essentially tells this man to capture Kinemon. Obviously because we find out what happens by the end of the episode. Now we see another man, and this is when we see our first revelations, our first looks at what Denjiro looks like here. And essentially he fooled this man into essentially exchanging the silver coins for a pot. Like essentially he kind of conned the man. He got a more expensive pot for essentially cheaper money. And it's funny because Kinemon's like, bro, that dude saved like silver 30 coins and stuff like that. So yeah, we also find out that Kinemon and Denjiro know each other, and Kinemon shows Denjiro the wild boar he obtained, which, can I say, the wild boar in this episode looks adorable AF. Like that boar looked cute as shit. Anyways, Denjiro actually goes on to tell him, like, bro, why the hell do you have that freaking boar? And stuff like that. And essentially tells him that the Kurokuma boss is essentially using the boar as a decoy to destroy the Hirogoro family. And essentially what we find out here is that when you take that species of boar away from its parent, the parent is going to look for it until, it finds it and will destroy anything in its way. And it's like some gigantic wild boar, which is just destroying everything in the flower capital. And Kinemon's like, damn it! Why did I do this and destroy the dang flower capital? Now that's when Oden comes down and he kind of looks at Kinemon and Denjiro, and essentially he's like, well, that's a very interesting story you got there. And that's when the episode cuts off and stuff like that. So, this for the first part of the Oden backstory, again, it's gonna be pretty cool. Apparently I heard that they're not trying to rush the Oden backstory, but some people have speculated that they might be adapting honestly like 2 chapters an episode because, people rather want to see Luffy than, I'm guessing, see Oden. But hey, listen, if the anime wants to rush it, as long as they take the time with the Oden backstory at the same time, that's fine by me. But again, it reminds me of the Skypiea arc, when it was getting to the heat of the moment in that thing, when the arc was heating up in that arc, and then they cut to the obviously the backstory of the Shondians and the guy who's Nolan the liar. It's the same thing like here. Like obviously you have the whole issue going on in the current time where the scabbards are literally look like they have nobody, and they're gonna go do this all by themselves and stuff like that. It's the same thing. Then they just up the backstory. I don't have an issue with it, although it is kind of a nuisance, and for me it sucks because it's like, yes, I'll take to see the backstory, but it's like I really want to get to the battle of Onigashima. Like honestly, I don't mind seeing One Piece backstories, but really the only backstory I'll want to see like full out, fleshed out, developed is obviously the Void Century backstory. That's just my opinion. So yeah, I just want to see the battle of Onigashima, especially what I've been somewhat seeing in the manga for a few chapters, as well as what I've been hearing, how hype it is. So yeah, I kind of just want to get to that aspect, but I understand why you got to keep your distance between the anime and the manga. So that's fine by me. Anyways, yeah, that's kind of really it, to say the least. That kind of is what I'm gonna say. So we're finally in the Oden backstory, and we're going to get the backstory developments next week. It seems like Kinemon will finally pledge his allegiance to Oden because he'll get inspired by him as well. We'll see what it looks like. We're gonna see all the other 9 scabbards at a younger age, as well as I think I saw in the next episode preview. We saw Orochi, a much younger Orochi. So we're just gonna see where that goes on, and yeah. So anyways, guys, if you guys liked the video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts on this week's One Piece episode, as well as hit that subscribe button if you want to get more One Piece content going forward. Till then, guys, I'll catch you guys in the next video. See you guys later. Peace.